Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles, and welcome to my first series check-in of 2025, I think, maybe, possibly. I think that's right. Anywho, ignore the sirens. I am going to run through all of the series that I have caught up on, that are in progress, that I've finished, and that I have DNF'd since my last series check-in, which I believe was in December. Starting off with series that I've caught up on, there are three. First is Iron Widow. I got an ALC of Heavenly Tyrant from Libra FM, and I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. I will still continue the series. There will definitely be at least one more book. I reread Iron Widow to prepare, still love it, still gave it 5 stars. Did not necessarily love Heavenly Tyrant, but I'm hoping that the third book brings it back. Maybe, possibly, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm hopeful. Then I have the Venom series by Sajani Patel. I read both A Drop of Venom and A Touch of Blood this year. This is a young adult fantasy series that combines Indian lore and Greek mythology, and I really enjoyed the first 2 books. I'm really excited about the third one that I'm probably gonna have to wait a year or so for, so that's unfortunate, but I really like it. The first one is a retelling of Medusa, and the second one is a retelling of Persephone. And then we have the Kiss Countdown. So I don't know for sure if there's going to be another book, but we are following siblings in each book, so there is a third sibling, and I do believe that she's gonna have her own book, so I'm counting this as caught up, even though I did DNF The Love Simulation. I loved the Kiss Countdown. It was my favorite book of 2024, and this one was boring. I did not care. I didn't really like the main characters. It is also single POV, which I don't love, but I was able to get over that in the first book, and this one just didn't do it for me. So assuming that there will be a third book, even though I DNF'd the second, I'm still counting it as caught up for now. Next are series that are currently in progress. For the first 3, I've only read the first book so far, and then the other one I am actively reading. So first is D.I. James Walker. The first book was The Christmas Killer. I had an ALC of this from Libro, and surprisingly, I enjoyed it. I have this one and then the D.I. Barton series. The first one in that one was The Snow Killer. Both of these are pretty long series where I assume that they are going to be a little formulaic and eventually I'll get tired of them. But so far, I enjoyed the first book in both series, so I do want to continue. In The Christmas Killer, in that first book, there were Christmas cards that were delivered, and it was 12 Days of Christmas themed, and the cards said 12 nights, 12 murders, and so the detective is trying to figure out who the killer is before all 12 of those people die. It had a really good plot twist. That is why I'm interested in continuing. And The Snow Killer, what was interesting about that one is that there was a case with a serial killer, I believe maybe in London, and then the detective and his wife moved to a small town. That serial killer has been released from jail. However, that was not what the first case was about. They moved to a small town and then things started happening there, and we were in the killer's head for a lot of it, which I thought was interesting. But I think in the second book, that serial killer is going to resurface, and so I'm kind of interested to see where that storyline goes and for how long they drag that out. Then I have the Udili series. I started reading the first book, Prince of Hearts, and it was giving mafia romance vibes. However, I did not like the interactions between the 2 love interests in the beginning. The male main character was very mean to her, and I couldn't get over it. So no thank you. I will continue the series, though I'm just gonna skip over that first book. And then the last one that I'm currently still reading is The Legends of the First Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. I just finished Age of War, and I'm participating in Deshaunna's World of Elon read-along, so we still have 3 more books left. I continue to be pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoy the series, and I wasn't going to continue with the next series that they were reading, but that could potentially change. I'm not quite sure yet. I wasn't planning on it, but depending on how the rest of the series goes, I might. Now for series that I have completely caught up on and completed. First is Burning Kingdoms by Tasha Sori. This includes The Jasmine Throne, Oleander Sword, and The Lotus Empire. I enjoyed it. The ending was okay. I think that I probably took too long in between the second and third books, or I probably should have reread before moving on, and I didn't really feel like doing that, so I didn't. It was nice to be back in that world, though. I do like the characters. The ending was just okay, though. It wasn't like my favorite thing. Then I read the entirety of the Trouble series by Christina C. Jones. I'm trying to make my way through her backlist, so this series was some of her earlier releases. There was 3 books in that one. The last one was my absolute favorite, really enjoyed it. I did vlog that process, so I'll have that linked in the cards and the description for you, and I will be continuing to vlog reading her backlist throughout the year. This next one I'm counting as completed because I don't think there's anything else currently, and I haven't seen any plans for more books. That's Houston Skyhawks by Alexandra Warren. I read Can't Catch Me last year, and then I ended up DNFing 2 Minute Warning. Partially, I was headed into a reading slump, and also the characters just weren't speaking to me in this one. Didn't really care for either one of them, but if she continues to write in the stories, I will definitely keep going, and I do plan on reading her other series. So for now, we're just checking that off the list. And then I have 2 series that I ended up DNFing. The first one is the Topher Davis series by Brian Copeland. I had an arc of book 2, didn't realize it was the second book, so I had to go back and read the first one. So that first book, Outraged, I did not like. It was my first book of the year, and I rated it 1 star. I did try to read the second book, and I just couldn't get into it, so I let it go. If you're interested in a series where we have siblings, one is an investigative reporter and the other is a detective, you might like it. I just think that there are some things that were not handled well in the first book, and I don't trust him to handle the content of the second book well, so I'm not gonna read anything by him ever again. The other one is the Dark Star trilogy. I had a copy of Black Leopard Red Wolf, and I read 18 pages of it. This is described as a literary fantasy, and I just did not vibe with the writing style at all, so I just don't think that he's the author for me. So that is my current progress on all of my series. There are some things that I do hope to finish this year, and I should probably make a list, honestly, because it's easy to forget because there's so many of them. But let me know if you've read any of these, if any of them are on your TBR, what series you are in the middle of. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.